नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा. So today we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 3. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stay at the house of Advaita Acharya. From the text 101. Text 101. Advaita Acharya replied, I shall never again invite another sannyasi, for it is an sannyasi who had spoiled all my Brahmanical smriti regulation. Text 102. After this, Advaita Acharya made the lords wash their hands and mouth. He then took them to a nice bed and made them lie down to take rest. Text 103. Sri Advaita Acharya feed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with the tulsi flowers. Thus there was a good flavor within their mouths. Text 104. Sri Advaita Acharya then shrimed the bodies of the Lord and sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chest. Text 105. When the Lord lays down on the bed, Advaita Acharya waited to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Acharya. Text 106. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita Acharya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice. Go with Mukunda and Haridasa and accept your lunch. Text 107. Thereupon Advaita Acharya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridasa, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. Text 108. When the people of Shantipura heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. Text 109. Began very pleased, all the people loudly began to shout the holy name of Lord. Hari, Hari. Indeed, they became struck with the wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. Text 110. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very fair, complexed body and its bright luster, which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. Text 111. People came and went with a great pleasure. There were no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. Text 112. As soon as it was the evening, Advaita Acharya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. Text 113. When Advaita Acharya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridasa Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Text 114. Advaita Acharya said, my dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house. Text 115. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure, he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic pre-respiration, shivering raised hair, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. Text 116. While dancing, Advaita Acharya would sometimes turn around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya would then speak to him as follows. Text 117. Sri Advaita Acharya would say, "Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my house and I will keep you bound up." Text 118. So speaking, Advaita Acharya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night and danced all time. Text 119. When Advaita Acharya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. Text 120. Began agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Acharya stopped dancing. Text 121. When Mukunda saw the ecstatic of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feeling of Lord and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord ecstasy. Text 122. Advaita Acharya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing the stanza sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. Text 123. Tears fell from his eyes and his whole body trembled. His bodily hair stood on end. He spied heavily and his words flattered. Sometimes he stood and sometimes he fell and sometimes he cried. The text 124. Mukunda sang, "My dear intimate friend, what has not happened to me due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna? My body and mind have been severely affected." Text 125. My feeling is like this. My mind burns day and night and I can get no rest. If there was some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there. Text 126. This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice, but as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. Text 127. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms of disappointment, morosenses, pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility all began to fight like soldiers within the Lord. Text 128. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of the various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. Text 129. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Text 130th. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with the pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhya. Hare Krishna. So today, the context of this discussion was we remember from the last time how Lord Chaitanya was trying to go to Vrindavan. At that time, Lord Nityananda diverted his attention, diverted him, Lord Chaitanya, saying that he showed the Ganges river there and he told him that is the Yamuna river, like that. And then he said, "You're already in Vrindavan," like that. So then finally, somehow he directed towards Santipur and he went to Santipur along with Advaitacharya's home. And the pastime that we are discussing is at Advaitacharya home, Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, he invited them to have prasadam at their home. So he cooked lots of quantities of food. We heard in the last session, different varieties, so many varieties. And as their lords are eating the prasadam, he was filling up more and more in each of the bowls like that, sabjis like that. That's what we heard. And then at one point, Nityananda Prabhu was like joking with Advaita Acharya, saying that you invited me and you're giving me very little food. What is this like that? My belly is not yet full. Like that, Nityananda Prabhu was joking. And then Nityananda Prabhu is described that he took some few grains of rice and a handful of rice and threw it on the floor in front of Advaita Acharya, it seems, as if he was angry like that. So that time, what happened was he some of that rice prasadam fell on Advaita Acharya's body. So Advaita Acharya was very ecstatic thing, and he started dancing when the rice was stuck in the body, because he saw that Advaita thought that he got purified by the touch of remnants thrown by Nityananda Prabhu like that. So that's what we were discussing last time. And let me see. Yeah. And basically there was a dialogue between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, saying that, oh, Nityananda Prabhu says you made an offense. So the way to clear your offense is to feed at least 100 sannyasis by inviting them to your home. Like that. That's what we were discussing. Now text 101 today, right after that, Nityananda Prabhu said like that you made an offense and you need to clear up your offense like that. That time, let me go to 101 verse now. That's the context. So that time, Advaita Acharya started to reply, saying that I will never invite another sannyasi, because sannyasi has spoiled all my Brahmanical Smriti regulations. What is the Brahmanical Smriti regulations is talking about? The point that he is Advaita Acharya, the Nityananda Prabhu threw his remnants of his rice, right, that he was eating. So that is what he is talking about. That means for Brahmanas, Smartha Brahmanas, they want to keep themselves clean. They cannot have anything impure touching them. Like somebody's eaten remnants food, that should not touch them. That's what they're talking about. So Advaita Acharya was saying that I will not invite another sannyasi like that. Then he is described, Advaita Acharya gave them water to wash their hands and mouths, both Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu. And then he showed them a bed to take rest or lie down. And then he gave them cloves and cardamom mixed with tulsi flowers, it seems. So that way, they had good flavor in their mouths also. And then he also applied sandalwood pulp on their bodies. And then he gave fragrant flower garlands to both the lords, Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya also. And then when Lord Chaitanya laid down on the bed to take rest, Advaita Acharya was waiting there to massage Lord Chaitanya's legs, it seems. But the Lord Chaitanya was very hesitant. So he spoke, saying that Advaita Acharya, you made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice and go with Mukunda and Haridas to accept your lunch. What is he saying by saying that you have made me dance in various ways? Purport is describing that Advaita Acharya, normally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being a sannyasi, he doesn't like to accept opulent offerings like opulent food, opulent dress, like sandalwood paste on his body, cloves and cardamom, and opulent flower garlands like that. He doesn't like to accept them. So now Advaita Acharya offered all of those to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so far, and now he's actually uh, ready to even massage his legs. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, you made me dance in so many ways, now stop it like that. So then also he's saying, remember in the beginning of this pastime, Advaita Acharya invited Haridas Thakur and Mukunda also inside to take prasadam along with Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu. But they said, they gave some reason saying that we'll eat later on, because they wanted Lord to eat first. So now that's why Lord Chaitanya is saying, please have your lunch along with Mukunda and Haridas also, like that. So there's so Lord caring personality also we can see from this pastime. Then Advaitacharya took prasadam with both of them, with Mukunda and Haridas Thakur, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired is described. And then after this prasadam pastime is over, now Lord Chaitanya is staying in their home, Advaitacharya's home. So then people in Santipura, where Advaitacharya stayed, they all came to know that Lord Chaitanya is staying in his home. So they all came to see Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet is described. So now once and we are hearing that they were very, very pleased on seeing Lord Chaitanya. So they loudly began to chant Hari Hari like that after seeing the beauty of Lord Chaitanya. And then the beauty of Lord Chaitanya is described in 110 verse, how Lord Chaitanya has a very fair complexioned body, and it has bright luster. Luster means like shining like that. It's like is like brilliance of the sun, like that, even conquer the brilliance of sun. And the saffron garments that he's wearing, which sannyasis wear, that also glittered on his body, it seems. So he was looking so beautiful. And then people came and went with great pleasure, it seems. No one could calculate how many people came and uh, assembled there before the day was over. That means so many people came to see Lord Chaitanya. Then, as soon as it became evening, Advaitacharya began to start the Sankirtan, congregational chanting. And he started to dance. And he saw, and the Lord Chaitanya saw his dance performance, it seems, dancing and singing like that. Then Advaitacharya, when Advaitacharya started to dance like this, Nityananda Prabhu also followed him. He also danced. And then Haridas Thakur also started to dance beside them also. Then Advaitacharya said, "My dear friends, I'm so fortunate because I received the highest transcendental pleasure today. After many, many days, Krishna is in my home," like that. Advaitacharya is saying while dancing and singing like that. So, like that, Advaitacharya, with great pleasure, he was singing, and he was actually um, he actually also had ecstatic symptoms, it seems, that is described in text 115. How ecstatic perspiration, shivering, raised hairs, tears in the eyes, like that. So many ecstatic symptoms Advaitacharya had. Now, text 116 is describing that Advaitacharya, when he was dancing, um, he would sometimes turn around and catch Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, it seems. And then Lord Advaitacharya would say, "Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home. I'll keep you bound up," like that. That means I'll keep you here. Now that you are here, I'll keep you here, like that he's saying, Advaitacharya to Lord Chaitanya. Then uh, actually he chanted and danced like that for 3 hours, it seems, that night. And all the time chanting and dancing. Kirtan. While Advaitacharya was dancing like this, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstasy also, ecstasy of love of Krishna. And because of his separation, his love increased more and more, like that it seems. So with that ecstasy, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground, it seems. And when he saw Lord Chaitanya fell in ecstasy on the ground, Advaitacharya stopped dancing. And when Mukunda saw that Lord Chaitanya in the ecstatic symptoms, he understood the feelings of the Lord, it seems. And what did he do? Mukunda is very good at singing. So he sang some verses that will increase the ecstasy of Lord Chaitanya. That means increase the mood of Lord Chaitanya, whatever mood he has, like that. Then Advaita Acharya um, raised the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, it seems, because he fell down in ecstasy, right? He helped him to stand up. But the Lord could not bear the ecstasy. He would not had. He was still in ecstasy, so he could not dance. So he was having ecstatic symptoms like tears in the eyes, and his whole body trembled. Like all the symptoms are described in 123rd verse. And then Mukunda sang some verses where Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna is meeting Radharani, like that. So then, when he sang those verses, Lord Chaitanya was feeling still more ecstatic, like that, it seems. So then, mm, Then text number 127 is describing how there are when Lord Chaitanya goes to see such high ecstasy, there are so many symptoms that go simultaneously, it seems. Like disappointment, moroseness. These feel like negative symptoms, right? But then positive symptoms also combined at the same time. Pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility. Normally, pride and humility are considered opposite qualities. When somebody is humble, he cannot be proud. But this pride is not like a material pride. What here is being described is uh, uh, these are higher symptoms of greatness. Basically, the way purport is described by Prabhupada is that because of his own qualities and feelings of greatness, he does not care for anyone else. And that is called garva or pride. So basically, they're feeling symptoms of happiness at the same time and madness also at the same time. So that is how the symptom of highest ecstasy is there, it seems. Now, 128 indicates that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu body began to totter due to ecstatic symptoms, it seems. He immediately fell to ground again, and his breathing also almost stopped. When all the devotees saw Lord Chaitanya in that condition, they naturally became very anxious. Suddenly, the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds, it seems. So the last verse for today, when Lord Chaitanya stood up like that again, he said, go on speaking. Like that he said, and he began to dance. He was overwhelmed with pleasure, and no one can understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. So these symptoms are also described for a devotees like waves of ecstasy, like ocean, how one wave comes and then next wave comes like that. Actually, Rompa Maharaj was describing this in the Light of Bhagavad seminar I attended recently, that sometimes is happiness, sometimes is separation, sometimes is uniting and happiness of uniting. Like that, different ecstatic symptoms come, it seems, for pure devotees like this. So Lord Chaitanya is experiencing the highest ecstasy in the mood of Radharani, like that. So that's where we end. We'll continue in next session. What happens further after this pastime? Uh, so then we'll continue. Okay, let us all offer obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the devotees also will offer obeisances. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kupasindubhyocha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Nam Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.